Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, prepare for me to step in it, because I'm going to piss some people off here, and I regret that, but yeah, just expressing a personal opinion. So, again, this is just me. Today's ink is by Pilot from their Iroshizuku line, the Kon-Peki, which is a light blue. I know some people absolutely love this ink. I'm not wowed by it. I mean, do I think it's a bad ink? No. I think it's okay. But again, it really doesn't wow me. And it costs a fortune. I mean, it costs a lot. And yeah, you get this nice glass bottle, but it's really heavy. And just the bottle weighs 239 grams. I think that's mostly what you're paying for. And, I mean, yeah, you can get the pen in, but it's, I don't know. It's not, alright, I'm going to say it, it's not worth it to me. Especially since you can't really display the bottle because the ink will degrade. But, yeah, anyways, all the tests were done in this Italix Parsons Essential here in the beautiful Burgundy in a Broad Cursive-Italic Stub. Let's check out the chromatography. And again, my camera's having a bit of trouble with light blue, but I'll see what I can do about that. And as you can see, not a lot of water resistance, and there's a lot of movement of blue, which means there's going to be a lot of stuff washing off. And it's just light blue, and it goes into more light blue. It's not a very complex ink. So let's check out the paper test. Top down to density, Clairefontaine, 90 grams per square meter. Now, this is a broad Cursive-Italic Stub, so 18 seconds to dry is not a shock. It's a nice blue. It's a vibrant blue. Honestly, it reminds me of Private Reserve Tropical Blue, which I'm going to say I prefer. And, you know, if for no other reason than sure for the price. But anyways, decent shading. It's nice. It runs a little wet. There's some halo affected areas, but yeah, near bleed through in parts, which really surprised me. And that's a mess. Dyed the paper a fair bit. It got really feathery. It started to explode a little bit. It's not terribly dark. You get bleed through in areas. And this is Clairefontaine, so yeah, that's worrisome. That was a worrying start to these experiments. Next is Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter, where it's still a very light blue. Again, you get some nice shading, 17 seconds to dry. Here you see just the barest sheen halo, but I had to lay it on really thick, and I mean, look at how needle fine that halo is. But yeah, this is actually looking darker on camera. That's essentially gone. That's almost all one color, the color it dyed the paper. It's not bad. I mean, it's a nice blue. It's got some things going for it. You know, no bleed, so that's nice. Next is Tomoe River Paper, where it looks pretty light. Like, where it's thinnest on like the downstrokes and things, it's just a little on the light side for my comfort zone. 16 seconds to dry. Though here you do get some sheen. You can see in the scrubby, but again, had to lay it on pretty thick. You get like needle fine halos around dots. But yeah, no bleed feather spread. But I said it is my favorite pen paper ink combo so far. That's pretty light. That's mostly washed away. Dyed the paper. I said the echo seemed pretty pronounced for such a light shade of blue, so that was something that stuck out with me. Next is 20-pound copier paper, where it looks very light. I feel like it got very washed out here. You still get a little bit of shading. It dried almost instantly. I mean, you get the barest bit of shading, but yeah, there's bleed and spread. It got broad. Yeah, so, and the paper was so absorbent, I started to have hard starts. So even though the flow was wet to begin with, like just a touch on the wet side to begin with, here it couldn't really keep up and started to frustrate me. That is pretty clear and pretty dark. It still dyed the paper a bit, but it feathered a bit, it exploded a bit, but that's fairly there. And it bled through in some areas, but it could have been worse. Next is Mead Notebook Paper, where again it got pretty light, started to look a little washed out, a little, you know, like if you've ever seen like a handwritten sign put up in a window, then it starts to fade. It kind of looks like that a little bit, a little sun bleached. Yeah, there's feather, as you can see. There's some spread, not a lot of shading. That's a disaster. I mean, like, I sort of don't know how to describe it, but the paper, this feels like the skin on the outside layer of an onion. Something weird happened to it. But yeah, anyways, decent amount of bleed through. I mean, yes, this is a broad italic stub, but I mean, the stub is such that it pulls the ink around, and so it shouldn't be that wet. And last is Moleskine paper, where again, it looks kind of flat, a little sun bleached, a little faded. You still get some little bit of shading, but where you get that shading is also where you get feathering. 4 seconds to dry. Yeah, this is, you know, since this is the last test that I do, that was really when it came home for me. It's not worth the price to me. And this is a mess. This paper right here. Like, it's just a mess. Like, again, it did something weird to the texture of the paper. Like, it's different feeling here than it is here. I don't know. It was very strange. So, yeah, there you go. There's Iroshizuku Kon-Peki. It's a blue ink. It's a nice enough blue. My camera's freaking out. But it's just not worth it to me. It's very expensive, and I mean, the bottle's nice, but you can't really display the bottle, especially with an ink this light. It will start to degrade and break down, and it's so heavy. And you know, if you're like me and you buy most of your pen stuff online, you gotta pay for this, you know? I mean, this is, I'm not exaggerating, that's really heavy. And it wasn't that well behaved. Yeah, you know, I'll stick with my other light blues that I already have. I'm glad I got a sample. I would have been very disappointed if I paid that much for this much ink. So yeah, there you go. For your consideration from the Triple N Network. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.